Hello YouTube! Welcome to my channel. My name is Courtney and this is Courtney and Books. You might be asking yourself, Courtney, why are you dressed so provocatively? I mean, my tits are out, I am in this like pleather getup. Well, first of all, it's my birthday and I can wear whatever I want, but second is I was just sent a gift from LoveHoney.com, and if you don't know what that is, it is basically an adult shop. They have a lot of toys, if you know what I'm talking about, but they also have lingerie. Now, because I just went on a little shopping spree myself a few months ago and got all the toys that I need, I went for the lingerie. They have so many options. I chose this because I already own a lot of lingerie. And also I wanted something that I could reuse, and I thought this would be really good for pole dancing, which if you don't know, I do pole dancing sometimes on the side when I have the chance. LoveHoney is having a sale and they do giveaways now and then, and I didn't receive the item in time to promote their actual sale that they were doing, but if you look at the link below, it takes you right to the website. Like I said, it is my birthday. At least when this video comes out, it will be my birthday, and so I'm doing something a little bit different today. Today, I am doing a Q&A, and these questions I gathered from social media. I also gathered them from a couple of like interview blogs and stuff like that, so I'm going to do a whole array of stuff, and most of it is bookish questions and some of it is not. Some of it is just about me. But anyways, let's get into it. If you feel like sticking around and hearing all of my wacky stories or the things that I do in my everyday life, or if you're curious about knowing random things about me, then stay tuned. I also have some information at the end of this video that I hope you guys will stick around for. I just choked on my own spit, so I am tearing up a little bit. Hopefully I will survive. A little background about me before I get started in these questions. I am a fashion design major who grew up on an ostrich farm in rural Arizona after she was born on Saipan, which is in the Northern Marianas. I went backwards for some reason. I don't know why. I was born on Saipan, and then my parents brought us here. They started an ostrich ranch. I grew up on that ranch. We had a lot of other animals. We had horses, we had goats. I was very used to milking goats every morning if I wanted to have cereal. I also had a lot of run-ins with a very angry rooster who was very, very tiny and thought he was very, very large, and I still have scars on my legs from the days where I was tasked with going in and collecting chicken eggs, and he did not like that. I majored in drama and acting when I was in high school, and yes, you were allowed to major in things at my high school because it was a performing arts school. And when I went to college, I went to the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in LA, where I decided that I absolutely hated the big city and did not want to ever live there. I started making costumes for people and utilizing my fashion degree. That turned into a costuming business that I ran for about 12 years. Now I'm here trying to make it as an author. Whew. Okay, the first question that I have is, what do you love most about writing? And if you follow me for my bookish content, like my top 10s or top 5s and recommendations, and you don't know, I am an indie author of romance books, both in the fantasy and sci-fi genres. All of my books are available on Kindle or Amazon Kindle, and most of them are also available on Kindle Unlimited. What do I love most about writing? This, I feel like, is going to be the most generic answer you will ever hear, and it is because I like escaping to other worlds. I feel uncomfortable in like everyday like reality most of the time, and I think I escaped at a very young age. I was escaping to fantasy worlds, either in my head or in my stories, and I think when I grew up it just became something that I wanted to do with my life. When I am writing, I'm usually writing about 4 different books at a time, and it gets a little bit exhausting, but my brain is just all over the place all at once, all the time. Even when I'm trying to fall asleep, my brain is just going and I'm thinking of stories, and there are just hundreds and hundreds of stories in my brain. If I wasn't writing, I would just explode, and I feel like writing is just an outlet for me so I don't blow up. The next question is, how many books do you read a month? This varies greatly, and I feel like this is something that a lot of booktubers and bookstagrammers and people who make their entire social media off of reading books sometimes either don't want to admit or I don't know, maybe there's some really special people out there that can literally read 50 books a month and not get like exhausted, but I am not one of those people, and I'm going to admit it right here, right now, that sometimes I don't read any. There have been books, or there have been months where I have not read any books whatsoever, and that is called a reading slump, and it usually happens when I burn myself out. I, for a while, was starting to think that I was not a real reader because I didn't read as many as a lot of booktubers. But I try to give myself a break because I also write a lot. I write a lot. I write for hours a day. Sometimes I write for more than hours a day. If I didn't have to sleep, I'd be writing 24/7. And so sometimes the burnout comes from both writing and reading, and then sometimes I don't read any books at all in a month. On average though, I would say about 5 books. Sometimes I think my max was 12 books in a month and my minimum was 0. So the next question is, how much do you make on your books? Ugh. So I really want to be transparent about this, but also like I do suffer from imposter syndrome, and I do suffer from a lot of different insecurities about myself and my writing and all that cool stuff that comes with being a creative. I, as an indie author, like it when other indie authors are also transparent about the things that they're going through as an indie author. So I will say it's anywhere from $300 to $500 a month. And it's been kind of steadily going up, but like by very, very, very little. Very, very tail end of 2019 is when I published my first book. And yeah, $300 to $500 per month is what I make on my books. And it's not a lot when you are somebody like me who's trying to make it full time. I suppose it is a lot to, you know, the outside person. But yeah, you could see my mood kind of went down because like I'm so critical of myself, and I feel like after 5 years I should be making a lot more than that. But being an indie author is so much more difficult than people want to admit. It requires so much work, and I'm actually not really going to get into the actual work because I'm going to be putting a full video on here outlining the things that indie authors and self-published authors go through, what we do, what we have to do, what we have to spend money on, the trials and tribulations, the obstacles, all of that stuff. I'm going to lay it out for you in a video coming up soon. The next question is, when did you decide to become a writer? Well, see, I was born one day and then I discovered writing. Writing and authorship are different, I feel like, though. I don't even know if authorship is a word, but writing is something that anybody can do, I feel like. Anybody can be a writer. Good, bad, doesn't matter. You're a writer. If you have written something, you are a writer. I think the way I differentiate being an author is if you are published, whether you're self-published or not. I mean, I've always been a writer, but I decided I wanted to become an author when I was very, very, very young. And I didn't really think it would be a viable source of income or a career choice. It's a very difficult industry to get into. But yeah, so I've been a writer forever. I think it was the end of high school when I actually told my teacher, my English teacher, that we were doing a project where it was like, where do you see yourself in this many years? And I think I told him, by the time I am 25, I want to be a published author. I didn't do that. I waited another 5 years and didn't publish my books until I was 30, but it was something that I decided I wanted to do probably in high school. Like I said, I decided very seriously that I would one day be an author. The next question on this list is, who edits your books? This is another thing that is, I'm gonna go over it in great detail when I do my indie author video, because this might surprise some people, because there's a lot of people out there that think you cannot do this, and I sometimes agree, but sometimes I don't. I edit my books. I am not trying to be a stuck-up bitch and say like nobody else can edit my books because they don't know me. It's really not about that. I did a lot of research into getting a professional editor, and it just costs a lot of money. I think for even one of my books it would have been $1,000 and upwards to get a professional editor. So I opted out of doing that because I am a broke ass bitch. I did have some friends and some family members offer to edit my books, but understandably they could not do it in a timely manner. I'm not like angry about that. I understand everybody has a life, and if you're not getting paid to do something, you're obviously going to do it in your off time. And that just didn't work for me. So yeah, I edit my own books, and there's a lot of different methods I use to do that, and I do miss some grammatical mistakes and things like that. Again, I'm gonna go over it all in great detail when I do my next video. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe to my channel if you want to check that out. Next question on this list is, what is your favorite TV show and movie? Oh, we're getting past the book questions. Okay, so my favorite TV show, and I say this without any shame, is Game of Thrones. And I will defend the last season to the grave because I liked the last season. I thought it was justifiable. I didn't like Dany from the very beginning. Don't at me about that, okay? Because I just loved the entire series. It was a big, big part of my life. I watched it when it was aired on television. And, you know, there are a lot of firsts that came out of watching that series. The Red Wedding episode is what started YouTube videos of reactions to TV shows. I don't know if you knew that, but that's what it did. I am a really, really big supporter of reaction videos, because it feels like going through the surprise and the shock for a second time when you see somebody else do it that hasn't seen the episode. Anyways, that was off topic. So yeah, I will defend Game of Thrones forever. I love that show. I love the dragons. I love everything about it. I kind of grew up with it. Like, you know, I was already an adult when it came out, but it kind of grew with me. And movie, there are so many movies that I love. I think my all-time favorite movie of all time is Avatar, the first one. I wasn't a huge fan of the second one. I feel a little bit like a traitor for saying that, but the first Avatar movie I saw 11 times in theaters, and I cried. Most of the time I was only crying because it was so beautiful, and there has never been a movie that has done that for me ever since. And I think my friend at the time, because I declared it my favorite movie when it came out in theaters, and my friend asked, if this is your favorite movie after you've seen it 20 times, then it's still your favorite movie, because she thought I was lying. She thought it was like I was just hyped up about the movie. No. It's been, what has it been, like 15 years since that movie came out? Maybe not that long, I don't know. 2009? Yeah, 15 years. What? Holy shit. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about that. What kind of writer are you? I don't know what that means, but I'm going to assume, upon looking at the blog that I found this on, that it is about my writing style, like how I write a book. So I write a book like this. I daydream, and then I daydream about it more, and then I daydream about it more, and then I decide I've daydreamed it so much that I'm going to write a book about it, and then I write it. And I have no idea where the book is going, but it's going. In other words, my books write themselves. I have never been able to outline a book. Every time I've tried to outline a book, it has just changed drastically once I started writing. The characters kind of do their own things, and yeah, it just writes itself. So I am the epitome of what is called a pantser, and that is somebody who improvises their writing and it goes where it wants to go. So that is how I write my books. In fantasy or sci-fi? Sci-fi. Sci-fi. So I used to be into fantasy when I was younger. I'm still into fantasy. I just got done telling you how much I like Game of Thrones. But I am somebody, as an older woman, I am somebody who wants explanations for things. I want justification for certain things that happen or certain things that go on in a book. And I feel like fantasy, a lot of the time, their explanation for why certain events happen and why certain characters are the way they are is magic. It's just magic. It's just that way because magic. And that's great, and I love it, it's fine, it's fun, but I want to know why. Why are you faster than everybody? Why can you do this and that? Mass Effect, I have it tattooed all over me, well, not all over, all over my shoulder, And because Mass Effect has justifications and scientific backgrounds for everything that happens, and it makes it believable, and it makes me want to live in that future and explore that world. So sci-fi. Are all your books romance? No, I have one book that is not romance, and it is getting a sequel at some point, but it is very long. And that is actually this book. This book right here, my longest book that I have, the very first book that I completed after the one that I completed when I was 17 that got destroyed when my computer and my external hard drive crashed because I was stupid and didn't know exactly how to back up my stuff. Anyways, I lost that book. I wrote this book. This book took me about 10 years to write, off and on. I was writing it for myself. I wasn't even writing it to publish, and that's why it took me so long. I think if I set deadlines, I would have gone faster, but 10 years of my life was spent writing this book. This is a post-apocalyptic science fiction action book, and yeah, if you want to know more about this, it is on my website, which is always linked below. What is your toxic bookish trait? I don't know what that means. I guess my toxic bookish trait when it comes to reading is I avoid outrageously popular books. I don't know why. I think it's just because everybody's telling me to read it and I don't want to read it because everybody's telling me to read it. So that's probably like, you know, I'm just now going through the series of A Court of Thorns and Roses, like just now starting to like read through them. I'm in the middle of book 2. And I have Fourth Wing on my Audible, but I have not started it yet because it's like 25 hours of audio and that's just crazy to me. But I'm going through them slowly. It's taking a lot for me to get over that stupid rebelliousness that I have, but yeah.
Also, because I'm an indie author myself, I tend to try and support other indie authors just because I know how difficult it is to get your books out there. And so I'm not usually paying attention to really popular books as much as they are kind of being shoved in my face constantly because obviously they're popular, they're all over social media. But like I said, I tend to try and give more indie authors attention.
With writing, I would say just writing 1,000 different books at once. I think right now I have 6 books that I'm writing at once and I switch between them depending on the mood that I'm in. I wouldn't really call that a toxic trait though. I think it's hard to focus on one book sometimes, but at the same time, like I can't focus on one book because sometimes I'm just feeling another story and I gotta like go to that story and then return. Anyways, random things you do. Is this like outside of the things I do normally? I would say, actually, this is a good one. A lot of people don't know this, but I am a ghost hunter on the side. Very, 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 very side, by the way. I do have a channel with my friends and my fiance, and that is called Legion Paranormal. We haven't kept up with it because we don't really have a lot of places that we have access to here in Arizona. We gotta kind of branch out to other states, but we haven't been able to do that yet. But yes, I ghost hunt on the side and we make videos about it. So I've always believed in ghosts, and I think honestly, if you are a skeptic, it's just that nothing's happened to you yet, because everybody's kind of a skeptic until something goes on around them that is unexplainable. But I've always kind of believed in it. I've always had weird experiences throughout my life, but I think it really solidified my belief in the paranormal when we lived in a house in Phoenix. It was an old house that was grandfathered into the neighborhood, and that means that it was built before the neighborhood, so it kind of is exempt from, not exempt, but it was facing in a weird direction. It wasn't the same style as the neighborhood because it was built before the neighborhood was built around it. And almost immediately when we moved in there, things started happening. And I mean, I lived there for years, and then my fiance moved in with me. I mean, if you guys want me to talk about my haunted house, like I am absolutely down to do that. There's way too much to talk about, honestly, but it was very haunted. Things happened all the time. Solidified my belief in the paranormal, and now we go and we hunt for it because it is very fascinating. And yeah, so I do that. I hunt ghosts. What did you do before writing? I kind of already said this, but I did costumes. So I did costumes full time. I made costumes for people all over the world. I made costumes for a lot of YouTube channels. I did costumes for a local haunted house that I worked at for a while, like for 6 years. I was actually the makeup artist, but I was asked to do costumes for the house for 2 of the years, I believe. It wasn't actually a haunted house, it was a haunted theme park actually. There were like 6 haunted houses on the grounds. Anyways, stopped doing that full time, and I'm still doing it kind of on the side. I actually won an award for a Silent Hill fan film that happened a couple years ago, and I also did the costumes for Dylan's new nightmare, which can be found on YouTube as well, and I'm also in that. I get to like slit my own throat. It was pretty cool. But yeah, so that's what I did before writing. I did that, and then I stopped and decided I was going to put my all into writing, which has been a very difficult journey, but that is a conversation for another time. That is all I have for you guys today in terms of questions, but don't go yet because I have another thing to tell you guys, and that is a cover reveal. Usually cover reveals go to my newsletter first, and they get to see, all my subscribers get to see cover reveals before anybody else. I am making an exception because it is my birthday. So I am revealing to you guys today the cover for Wicked Tides, which is my dark fantasy, enemies to lovers, siren pirate romance that is coming out in October. I am super excited about it, and not only am I excited about it because I have been loving writing the story, but also it is the first book that I am releasing where I did the cover art myself. So, dun dun dun, here it is. That was a little bit more awkward than I expected it to be, but how about we do this? I'll reveal it with some like really epic music, and it'll be way better than looking at my awkward face, okay? Go! Anyways, I am super excited about all the things that are coming up. I hope you guys are too. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I'm trying to make it to 700 subscribers here on this channel, and I cannot do it without you guys. If you liked this video, please hit that like button. Comment below if you have anything to say. Basically, any sort of interaction that you have with this video really helps me out. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Please, for my birthday, have a wonderful day for my birthday. I am asking you very nicely. I love you all, and happy reading. Until next time, bye!